So I'm Jim Threapleton. So I'm one of the artists exhibiting at number 20 alongside Phil Hale. I've known Phil for about 10 years, and we started talking about 2 years ago about doing a show together. So finally it's here, which is weird after so long talking about it, to actually be standing in the space with all the paintings up.
So I know you used to be in film. How did you move from film to paint?
I did used to be in film. The last film project that I worked on was an improvised feature film, and I found that as I was editing the thing together, I was getting more interested in the still image and kind of the non-linear narrative thing, which reminded me of when I was painting before I started filmmaking. So I decided that I'd kind of go back to that and see what I could get out of it, and to do that I went and did an MA at Camberwell College, which led to a PhD. So the 1 year MA didn't really feel long enough to achieve anything. I mean, it was, but I felt like I still had a lot of questions that were unanswered. So I moved straight from the MA into the PhD, which took 5 years. It's a long time to have a very narrow focus on what you're doing painting-wise. But actually, it was really good. It forced me to figure out why I was painting, what I wanted to do with painting, whether I had any interest in going back to film. So 5 years of shaking everything up and coming out the other end with a kind of a painting language that I was interested in moving forward.
It's quite an interesting question, but what inspires you? Like, do you listen to music? Do you work at night? Do you work in the morning?
Well, interestingly, Phil was kind of an inspirational point of contact for me with the painting world. So when I was starting to move from film to painting, I took a studio over in Hackney Wick, horrible dungeon with no natural light, and whoever had been there before had left some copies of Modern Painter magazine. So I came across Phil's work in there and decided to track him down because I was kind of so interested in what he was doing with paint. And it turned out that he was quite close by. He was on Viner Street in London, which is quite close to where my studio was. So I sort of got in touch with him. He was good enough to invite me to the studio, and we started a very, kind of early relationship to talk about what I was interested in paint and how he went about things. So in terms of those inspirational kind of individuals, Phil's absolutely one of those people, and he's been kind of a mentor figure in the early years as I've travelled further and further into the world of painting. But in terms of my working process, I go down in the morning generally because I've got 2 young kids, and so I have to drop them off and get down in the morning. I can't really. I'm much quicker mentally in the morning than I am in the afternoon. I do listen to music all the time, but it can't be anything too intrusive. It's funny. It has to be a particular presence, musically speaking. If it's too present, it interferes. So it has to be. There are a few artists that I know I can rely on, who won't get in the way, but will also set the atmosphere a little bit for me. So, and my paintings, they're very peculiar, odd little things that have to happen very quickly, whilst the paint's very flexible and alive. So I move the stuff around and kind of drag image out of it, and so that usually happens in one day.
Amazing, thank you. That was such a great